Hey guys, what's up? It's Coach Carroll. Welcome to another episode of the Sales Factory. As you guys can see, I'm in the new studio here and got the Hunter head game on display. Make sure you guys get pre-registered for that thing. But I'm excited for this episode today. I've got Jake Dixon from the Locker Room. He's a real estate coach. And on today's episode, he's joining me. I'm pretty excited about this one because he is leading a national real estate coaching organization based out of Wisconsin. Jake's made it his mission to help real estate agents, coaches, and brokerages all across North America accelerate their growth, retention, and what I love, profitability through practical coaching, proven tools, and continuous get your jersey dirty attitude. Love that. Since 2016, the Locker Room has impacted thousands in the real estate space, especially those just starting out or looking to break past that 24 home ceiling. Get ready for some actionable sales wisdom and inspiration from my favorite places, the trenches. So, Jake, welcome, man.
Great to be here, Coach Carroll, man. I appreciate the opportunity. Excited to give back to your audience here and ready to get my jersey dirty.
Nice, dude. Well, give us a quick intro. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you're at today.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. Obviously, the locker room you can see behind me, perhaps, for those able to see. I've got a background playing college and professional baseball, so that was a big inspiration in symbolic way of how I approach my business. And so, yeah, as you mentioned, back in 2016, started just like everybody else, where I had been an agent. Then I became a team leader, which is otherwise known as like the CEO of Keller Williams offices. And that led me to discovering my real passion, which is coaching. And that's what started in 2016 with my coaching. And in the first year, we became the number one coaching platform inside of Keller Williams. And we did about $3.6 million of agent earned GCI, $124 million of volume, over $1 million of squeaky clean company revenue, all just from this program of relatively new, inexperienced agents that we were able to rise up. And ever since then, we've created this expansion platform where we're able to duplicate that same success across all brands, all companies that choose to partner with us.
Love that, man. Love that. And what gets you up in the morning, man? What makes you excited about working with these agents and helping them?
You know, when we decided back in 2016, in fact, to plant our flag in the ground, what was it that we were going to be known for? What's the dent or the impact on this industry that we wanted to make to leave it better than we found it? I'm a Blue Ocean Strategy guy. So if anybody's into books and personal growth and development, check the book Blue Ocean Strategy.
Highly recommend that one.
Yeah, there you go. Not surprised. So for those not familiar, it's basically, I've always believed the quickest path to success is observing what the masses are doing. They're herd animals. We move in herds and actually going the opposite direction. That's the blue ocean concept, rather than fighting in the shark-infested bloody waters. So what I saw upon benchmarking the real estate coaching industry is a lot of people were offering their platforms to quote unquote already successful agents, the ones who could afford $1,000 or better per month. And I'm over here fighting for the little guy, the person that the statistics say are set up for failure because 87% of agents fail in this business. Surprise, surprise. So we really built our entire platform championing that brand new agent, that inexperienced person who just needed a little bit of extra support to break through their ceiling. And that was the fight that we chose to fight. And we planted our flag in the ground ever since. And we're still able to fight that mission and move the needle in the opposite direction regarding the agent failure rate.
Wow. Why do you think it is that that those agents fail at such a high rate? I mean, the SBA statistics obviously show that almost 90% of small businesses fail within the first 10 years. Only 10% make it. And so like it's a tough road out there, right? We're the ones that pay the taxes. We're the ones that give up the sleepless nights. We're the ones that miss the dance recitals and the ball games to chase our dream. What do you see in the real estate space? I'm curious, what are maybe the three biggest causations that you've been able to identify for failures in that space?
I don't think it's too dissimilar to the SBA stats you referenced, right? Business is business, whether it's slinging real estate or, baking pies, which reminds me, again, I'm a junkie when it comes to personal growth. So, The E-Myth Revisited, I think, is a great summary of that question. Of one of the reasons there is such a failure rate is number one, people turn on the television, they watch HGTV and all these shows, and it comes across as something that we all know it's definitely not. And so they say, well, I love helping people. I love homes. Well, you're going to hate people. You're going to hate homes by the end of this. Okay. And so it sets people up for a false sense of reality and or expectation, like the E-Myth Revisited book says. He used the example of a lady who bakes pies. And everybody in the town, all of her friends, all of her family say, oh my gosh, you've got the best tasting pies. And so one day she had what we all call an entrepreneurial seizure. And she says, well, I'm going to open up a pie shop. I'm going to have a business baking pies. And turns out she ended up hating it because the skill set around running a business is very different from the act of doing something that initially you might have loved. So I think number one, false set of expectations going in. Number two, a low barrier of entry, which is systemic in our industry. If you got the money and you can pass a test, voila, you're a real estate agent. And number three, which is more behavioral driven, consistency. I'm a blocking and tackling guy, time on task over time. And as people say, I think consistency is still undefeated. And so many folks that get into this entrepreneurial whirlwind, they try, they dabble, they experiment in all these different things and never really grab hold of what works for them and stick with it long enough to bear the fruits of those efforts.
Wow. Say that again. Consistency on what was that? That saying you just said. I like that.
Oh, goodness. Well, consistency is still undefeated. And I was actually given the nickname in my early coaching years of Tot Tot. Hey, Coach Tot Tot, instead of Coach Carroll. Yours is way better. But
No, hold on. It was like consistency on task or something like that. Like staying on
time on task over time.
time on task over time. I like that. Double tap on that one for the audience.
That one is, well, that's Tot Tot, right? So what happens is a lot of people, let's put it this way. When they get into real estate or any business, you're excited. All right. You're on fire. It's ignorance is bliss kind of thing. And there's a honeymoon phase that's going to eventually wear off.
Yeah.
And then reality sets in and it's like, oh shit, this is a lot harder than I thought. And I don't get to just make one Facebook post and all of a sudden I've got 17 friends who all of a sudden want to sell their home. Right. So the time on task over time is deploying the activities that work for you, aligned with you in your strength zone, long enough and done to the best of the ability that not just you can do, that the best that can be done, which nobody ever knows, and just doing the thing, man. It's swinging the axe 5 times a day, doing the boring stuff. Success, whatever that means to people watching this or hearing this right now, is oftentimes boring. It's repetitious. It's mundane. It's unsexy. It's the thankless stuff that nobody sees. And my mentor said it this way, DJ. He said, winning happens in silence. Success is celebrated very loudly in public. It's all the social media highlight reels. We celebrate success very loudly publicly. But winning actually happens in silence. It's what you said. It's those sleepless nights. It's those times when you're emailing yourself at 3 a.m. because you can't get that idea out of your head. It's sacrificing at times, even maybe going to your kid's soccer game. It's doing the stuff that nobody sees. Nobody's ever going to give you credit for. They just see the result and say, ooh, I want that. Yeah. Really? You and I could sit here and say, I would love to be the most decorated Olympian like Michael Phelps or Simone Biles. But when I find out they're in the gym for 16 hours a day, I'm like, dude, I don't want it that bad. You can have it.
Yeah, I think that there is something to be said about your ability to show up consistently day after day with no visible progress. And what I've learned through my mentors, what I've just learned myself being an entrepreneur for almost 20 years now, is that the ability for you to stay positive while everything else is just like falling apart around you, and for you to stay disciplined in the task and the activities that you know it's going to take to succeed, right? So if you're a real estate agent, you got to call those FSBOs, right? You've got to call those expired listings, and you know you've got to make that social media content that I tell agents to make all the time. And I think that is such a leading indicator of your ability to be successful is, are you doing that work without seeing that result? And I think your level of success is greatly dependent on how long you can do that, right? Because I would guess that most of the people, Jake, that quote unquote go out of business, they don't go out of business, they give up, they quit. They put their license on hold or whatever you do, you know, when you give it back to the state. And I mean, we saw a massive amount of license go into like, what is that? It's like purgatory, right? Like, what do they call that when they put their license on ice? There's a term for it, right?
Yeah, they go into like referral status, or they just attrition from the industry altogether.
And it's like, you know, you kind of put it on hold or whatever, and like they never come back. And like while the getting was good in 2020, 2021, you know, 22, 23, man, you saw like an mass exodus of real estate agents all across the country. And sure, the market got tough, but that's that question that, you know, Jim Rohn used to say, there's always seasons, right? There's a season for planting, there's a season for watering, there's a season for harvesting, and then there's winter. And what most of us don't understand is that fall, every single year, every single season is followed by winter. And winter's going to come. It's not going to be great all the fucking time. And so I think your ability to succeed long-term is massively impacted by how you deal with the winters that you'll experience in life.
Agree completely. I'll probably butcher the quote, but it's something like this from Winston Churchill, I'm pretty sure, who said it's when it deals with success and achievement, all right, in that context, it's a matter of going from failure to failure without the loss of enthusiasm. That's what you just said in a nutshell, essentially. And I boil that down, a couple just crunchy things for your audience. 2 words.
Let's get crunchy, baby.
Commitment and decision. Commitment first. Commitment is doing what you said you were going to do long after the feeling or emotion when you said it has passed. Yeah. Yep. This is why New Year's resolutions generally don't work for most people. You set it in this honeymoon emotional state, and when the first person says no, or the first piece of chocolate cake lands in front of you, all hell breaks loose and you lose all willpower and control. Yeah. The second thing is making a decision. We're freaking adults, man. Like, nobody's coming to save us here. If it's meant to be, it's up to us, right? Yeah. And so look at the word decision, the root word decide. And when you have any word with side in it, C-I-D-E, insecticide, pesticide, other words that I won't say, it literally means to kill off. So when I decide, I make a decision in our context today, what am I killing off? I'm killing off complacency, mediocrity, doubt, fears. I'm killing all of that off because, damn it, I've made a decision, not this interested when it's convenient kind of thing. No, I'm digging in. I'm doing the thing. Why? Because myself and my family and my compelling future expects me to and demands it.
Yeah, I love that, dude. Good stuff. Good stuff. Talk to me, man, about a story of like how maybe you had a client in the past that had self-limiting beliefs, because I know that oftentimes when you get started in business, you know, self-limiting beliefs can really be the toughest part to get over. Like, somebody could have crazy work ethic. Somebody could really be dreaming big and have the goals and the ambitions. But, you know, I think our society has like gotten to a point where we're like making up words, right? They're like, I have imposter syndrome. It's like, no, you're just insecure, right? And so like, I think that we have to talk about this because, you know, if somebody has self-doubt, I personally think a lot of times it's because they haven't fully committed, what you just talked about. But I'd be curious what your take is when working with people that you see that maybe have this at the beginning, or even, listen, sometimes, man, you get to the top of one of the mountains that you thought was like the biggest mountain ever and you were going to climb it. And then you go, holy shit, there's one 4 times bigger that I can see now. but do I have the ability to go through the valley and back up to the top of the mountain? So how do you help people coach through that?
Man, that's such a great question, and I like to use stories, analogies, metaphors to make the points. And I'll go back to the original part of your question, which is a specific instance. So they know who they are. I'll just leave it at Ryan and Heather. So, quick story. When I first broke through the coaching scene, this was circa August 2016.
Okay.
New coach, had some experience, other areas, but new coach to real estate. Ryan and Heather joined at the time my coaching program. Well, guess what? Ryan at the time was a U.S. foods truck driver making 60 grand a year driving a U.S. foods truck. Heather, his wife, was a stay-at-home mom with their three beautiful, amazing children. Well, anyways, bad luck struck them because as Ryan is hauling all this stuff onto the truck and the pallets and stuff, he screws up his shoulder, ends up needing shoulder surgery. He's out of commish for about 9 months.
Happens all the time to delivery drivers, man. Most people don't realize how often that happens. Guys slip and fall out back of trucks and like their whole income stream's gone.
That's it. So no revenue coming in, but now when he's healed and he's going back to work, that same week, they let him go. So things are just getting worse and worse and worse. Now all of a sudden they're living on food stamps. And one friend said, because he was interviewing, nobody wanted to hire a food truck driver. Friend said, have you ever considered getting in real estate? You guys have helped us just buy some homes and find some off-market properties that are good for investments. And they said, well, gee, no, we've never considered that. Borrowed $500 each from their parents because they didn't have the money to sign up for real estate school. Fast forward, insert Jake and us. They joined my coaching program. You want to talk about fear. You want to talk about, curled up in the fetal position on the cold bathroom floor with every reason, every excuse just to throw in the towel. Ryan and Heather. But they didn't do that. No, instead, after their first year of us working together, they closed $10 million of volume, about 32 homes for $300,000 of commission. That's 5 times what Ryan ever earned in a single year doing the safe job, secure job in their first year of real estate. Now they've got investments and their life looks entirely different. But here's what most people don't realize. They joined in August, September of that year in real estate when the market's down traditionally. And oh, by the way, the dues to be a real estate professional are due at the start of the year. That's more money out of pocket. Their first 3 months, DJ, 0, 0, 0. I'm talking goose eggs on the lagging result, which is closings. And they looked at me. We were both in tears saying, Jake, I don't know how we're going to continue. We're going to have to go find a quote unquote real job and go through that all over again. And I said, guys, look me in the eyes right now and tell me everything that you've been reporting to me, contacts, appointments, all the leading indicators are scouts honor the truth. And they said, Jake, they are. I said, y'all, I don't know what you got to do, but you better figure it out because I believe in business. There is a 90-day cycle. What you do today will show up in 90 days. Okay. What you're not doing will also show up in 90 days, but it takes 90 days yeah, it takes 90 days to create or lose momentum. And dude, January, 1 closing. February, 2, 3, 3, 2, 4, 5, 5 throughout the course of that next year. And the rest, as they say, is history. Yeah. Right? So long-winded answer, I know, but giving an example of somebody who had every reason not to and realized, well, what are our other options? We can make excuses or we can go get results and just submit ourselves to the process. Don't have to love it, but we're willing to do and willing to grind it out so that their life never has to look that way ever again.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. And that reminds me so much of when I decided to turn down the football scholarships my senior year of high school and decide to go full time with my lawn care business. And I was going to be the first kid in our family to go to college. And I remember my mom and my dad going what are you doing, man? Right. And my guidance counselor saying you're throwing your life away. You're a smart kid. Go be a chemical engineer. My chemistry teacher who watched me ace chemistry 1, 2 and AP chemistry is like, what are you doing? You're just going to mow grass for the rest of your life. And I always remind myself of this is that oftentimes the worst case scenario really isn't that bad. We have to remember we have a crocodile brain at our innermost core, right? The fight or flight, and which means that the big hairy monster seems a lot more scary than it really is. And so, like, while all these people around me and my family members that I felt like I was letting down, you know, to me, I'm like, hey man, if this doesn't work in 2 years, I'll just go to college then. Like, it's not like they're not gonna take my money, right? And so, like, oftentimes, man, like, this is why, like, I feel so bad. We got to talk about suicide more around entrepreneurship, because I think it happens oftentimes, man, because it's already a lonely profession, right? There's not, you know, a lot of times you're out on an island. And so, you know, that's why I love doing this podcast. That's why I love speaking, is to try to help encourage other entrepreneurs. And if you're listening to this, man, you're in a dark spot, you're in a winter season right now, you know, listen to the story that Jake just shared with us and understand that, like, you just got to keep pushing, right? Like, those two people, they were in their planting season in October, November, December, right? January, oh, wow, here's a deal. Here's another deal, right? That's in their watering season. You saw how that continued to go up, and then you hit harvest season, man, and it pays off. But, like, I can tell you on the farm, you know, I don't put a tomato seed in the ground and, like, the next day I walk outside and there's a ripe tomato, right? It takes time. Time is an equation to this. Now, I fully believe you should do everything in your power to compress time when possible. But, you know, I just want you to know, if you're listening to this, if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, anywhere like that, like, feel free to DM me, man, if you need somebody to talk to, because you can really get in a place where it feels like the cards are stacked against you. And there's people like myself and Jake and others out here that want to see you win, that want to root for you. And you just got to get those people around you, get them in your earbuds. That's why it's so important to listen to positivity first thing in the morning, and do what I call your miracle morning. Highly recommend that book if you haven't read that one. That one's a killer book. But let's try to turn this thing around, Jake. Get a little more positive in here, right? I didn't realize we were going to go down that road, but it's good, man. I think it's important. Let's talk a little bit about work-life balance. Are you married? You got kiddos? What's life look like for you, man?
Been married going on, oh my gosh, what is it? 14 years almost. Got 2 kids, 2 daughters that got me wrapped around their fingers. One is 11 and the other one is 10 right now.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I've got a 2-year-old daughter. She threw a temper tantrum the other day, like threw herself on the floor. I was like, let's go do this thing. She's like, I can't, right? And, like, throws herself on the floor. And I was telling some of my buddies at the Pendennis Club here in Louisville, I was like, you know, she threw herself on the floor and just had a fit. And the guy said, oh, buddy, wait till she's 16 and does that. And I'm like, oh, God, I don't know if I can handle that. So let's talk about work-life balance, man, because sometimes, you know, I was on with Gary Vee, I don't know, this is probably 6 months ago, sometime last year. And he kind of put, you know, I asked him about work-life balance. And he's like, sometimes, man, you got to pick the family, and sometimes you got to pick work, right? And so how does Jake handle that, and how do you coach your clients on dealing with work-life balance?
Again, great question, big topic, and just a few highlights from me on that one. First of all, I think if we're all being real, it's always a struggle. When you have that ambition, that hunger, that entrepreneurial streak in you, it's tough. And here's a couple of realizations I've had. Maybe this will help others. Number one, I had to learn a long time ago to stop pretending as if they're separated from each other. I'll use the word, I've learned to integrate them. It's not like, oh, business is over here and my family's over here. Dude, it didn't work for me. So when I stopped trying to separate that, I think work-life balance is a myth. And I said, no, I'm going to figure out ways to integrate it. Now I take my kids with me to my company events. I want them knowing and seeing what dad does. So it's no longer us versus that. It's we, and they understand when dad's working hard and doing what he's doing, it's for them. It's for our future. It's for those experiences. And to that end, similar to what you mentioned, Gary Vee said, I do believe that. I think counterbalance is the more appropriate way to look at it. If I was standing upright right now on one leg, just balancing on one foot, on a microscopic level, you would see my foot wavering slightly, doing this, if people can see, right? It's just back and forth, back and forth. That is counterbalance. What appears to be balanced upon closer inspection is actually a constant state of counterbalance. So if you draw a line down the middle of your page, which represents balance, over here on the right is family, over here on the left is work, the goal is this zigzag back and forth and back and forth. At any given time, you're going to be overweight on one of them. Here's the key. Just don't stay there for too long. And there's different seasons. I'm not even going to define. It's a day, it's a week, it's a quarter. I don't know. But just know, where am I in this season, and get back to midline as quick as possible. And you will be in this constant state of counterbalance, which feels more of a rhythm, of a flow. Last thing on that from a personal note, man, this was probably back in 2015-ish. I was going through some ish, man. Things were not good because of my fault. And here's how I say this: work got the best of me, and my family got the rest of me. And that wasn't cool. I had to observe my patterns. I read a book called The Power of Habit at the time, and it made me realize, wow, if I just change one thing, just disrupt the pattern, one thing, everything else after will be disrupted as a result of it. So you know what that one thing was? Till this day, very few exceptions, I do not take my laptop home with me. I was the guy with his laptop laying in bed, hammering away on the keyboard till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I'd look over at my wife saying, oh, hey, hun. Our marriage was on the rocks. I said, if I stop that, everything else thereafter has to create a new cycle. And I tell you, man, to this day, I don't bring my laptop home if I can help it. Yes, I still got my phone in my hand, but I removed the temptation. And that really, really helped us achieve some level of balance, if you will.
I like that. Couple things I want to talk to on that point there. So the first one, I love that counterbalancing analogy. I've never heard that before, but it's so perfectly fit. I think that hits home for a lot of the listeners. What I would say is make sure you communicate those seasons with your spouse and your family. When I was writing this book, there were a lot of late nights in my studio, and like, my wife knew, like, hey, I'd been working on this thing for 10 years, and like, it's finally time. Like, I've gotta hunker down. I've gotta do it. And then, so, be 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, right? That I'm working these late nights, and 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. is like, man, that's like they call it golden hour in photography, right? Because the sun is setting. But for me, it's golden hour because like, that's my time with my family. And so like, if I got to go back to work after 8 and the kiddos go to sleep, so be it. There's seasons for that. But I think you have to make sure you communicate, because I get so many emails, so many DMs about, Coach, how do I get my wife to support me? Coach, how do I get her on board? And it's like, man, like, that's tough. It's tough to be an entrepreneur to begin with, let alone if your like best friend and your partner in crime isn't on the same page. So I think you definitely have to communicate. The other piece too is I think what you allude to with the laptop, man, it's like you have to have spaces, right? And so like, I pity the guy that while he's at work, he thinks vacation, 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 vacation. And then while he's at vacation, he thinks work, 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 right? And there's no delineation. So for me, my home office is actually out in my barn. It's about a finished space, about 300 square feet of studio space. And so like, if Dada's going to work, like, Dada goes out there and goes to work. That way it's not that distraction, because to me, man, like, I want to be all in when I'm there, with the family, and I want to be all in when I'm at work. And so I think those are two big caveats as well. Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah.
By the way, agree entirely with everything you said. Communication and expectations around that. Yes, don't leave that part out. Just real quick. This is dating back maybe for some of us, like, to, I don't know, 7th grade chemistry or something. But how many of you listening to this, comment, share, or whatever, like it, if you've heard the quote from Sir Isaac Newton? Boy, do I sound smart. Sir Isaac Newton, Newton's law, that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Right? We know this stuff. And I used to run an indoor baseball training facility where I would demonstrate to kids, young athletes, that if I wanted to flex my bicep muscle, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. What does that mean for my tricep? Well, equal and opposite is it's got to relax, right? Mm-hmm. So where am I going with this? In this conversation, it's important to know, what are my priorities? I think is really, when we talk work-life balance, really we're saying at the core of it, what are my priorities? My family is one of them. And I have to be very disciplined of knowing what to say yes to and what to say no to, because for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. When I say yes to something, that means I'm saying no to something else. Here's the 2 follow-up questions. What is it? And am I okay with that? Example in real estate. I coach a lot of agents. They're sitting down, letting emotion, the fear of loss dictate their short-term decisions. So they're finally sitting there at 6 o'clock. It's around the dinner table. It's been a long day. I get to break bread and see my family and ask them about their day. And then the inevitable happens. My phone rings and it's Buyer Bob. And I look down at that phone and see it's Buyer Bob, who I know if I answer this, he's going to want me to go and leave and show him some properties. And I've got a decision to make. When I say yes to something, I say to no to something else. What is it? And am I okay with that? So many agents who claim they're burnout are making decisions rooted out of the fear of loss that if I don't take this call, I'm going to lose out on the commissions. Well,
I'd say they also they may not even be making the decision too. A lot of people operate just reactionary, and there's no thought process into answering that call.
that's very fair. But the awareness now is what I'm after, teaching people how to think. Do you have awareness in that situation? Yeah. Right? If I say, and I'm not judging, as long as you've communicated and set expectations, like Coach DJ here says. But if I just did that out of what you just mentioned, default programming, I just said no to my family, the very people I claim I'm working hard for, and I come home later, probably didn't even write the offer anyways, to a meal that I've got to put in the microwave and eat all by myself, and my family's already tucked into bed asleep. Yeah. Was it worth it?
Yeah, I've also heard you get to your first million by saying yes to everything. You get to your subsequent millions by saying no to a lot of things. Also, I mean, Jake checks in the mail. I'll have easy, quick plug for our platform called Allie. She's got an AI voice component, and so if you're an agent and you don't want to answer your phones, you could have Allie do that for you, and so that they get the same branded experience every single time. You can go to carroll.media/voice to check that out and even do a quick little demo. So, Jake, thanks for the opportunity to plug our software there, man. Appreciate that. Because I do think, I mean, my phone stays on silent, man. Like if I had notifications on, like that's, to me, I think that's one of the biggest time hacks. Because earlier you said you don't believe in work-life balance. I don't believe in time management. You can't manage time. Time is going to happen without it. So I call it time maximization. On CoachCarroll.com, I've got a course that's super cheap that goes through a bunch of tactics to maximize your time. And so like one of the first ones that I'll tell students and entrepreneurs that I work with is like, turn all of your notifications off. Go into iPhone, go into setting, go into notifications, and turn fucking everything off. And it's like, well, what if someone calls me? I'm like, hey man, in 1950, people couldn't get a hold of, and the business world was perfectly fine. Like it still kept going. Deals got done, buildings got built, transactions got sold, and there will be somebody in the comments that is like a burnt out, frizzled mess that'll be like, well, DJ, you don't understand, man. Like my clients use me because I answer the phone when I call, and I'm like, good for you, man. Good luck staying on that long term. And then I would just argue is like, if I'm listing a $5 million deal with you, I don't want you answering your phone when we're in the middle of a meeting, right? Because to me, that is being reactionary. And I also just think, you mentioned the book E-Myth, which is a great one, come from the blue collar world. So like E-Myth, Michael Gerber is like, that technician mindset, getting out of that mindset is super big part of that book. I would argue, say, do you want to be the real estate agent technician or do you want to be the real estate agent business owner? Because some of the most successful people I know, it's impossible to get a hold of them, and they're doing just fine. So yeah, I think that's a big thing, man. And the reactionary piece, right, of just being a frazzled mess and bouncing from one thing to another. I said this yesterday. I did a talk for One Southern Indiana Chamber of Commerce. They had me come in and talk about AI and marketing and how the future is kind of already here. If you guys didn't check that out, you can go to my YouTube channel, and there is we live streamed it so you can get the full talk. But one of the things that I spoke about is like how just reactionary people are, man. Like they don't know how to silence their own brain, let alone their phone. And so then they just bounce from one thing to another. And yeah, I think AI is going to be able to change the game for a lot of small business owners to help them become more efficient. Speaking of which, segue, are you guys using AI in any way, form, or capacity? And would love to hear the platforms that you're using and how you're using it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we are. And that's definitely not my department, but luckily for me, I'm surrounded by people that are way smarter than me. So
Good.
we are, though. We are teaching right now, artificial intelligence, like to have an AI agent do some of the mundane, repetitious tasks and different things there for us. Of course, we're using it at the now what's now the basic level with ChatGPT, helping us take some thoughts and regurgitate it, whether it's drip campaign emails, social posts, re reutilizing user-generated content and splicing it in 55 different ways we can use the same, piece. A lot of that stuff we're using on the internal level with our clients. We are teaching our own AI bot, if you will, to be prescriptive. So in other words, if I'm a broker owner or an agent, I can go here, type in what's my problem, and it'll pull up the solution, the prescription as it relates to our tools, our video modules, and things like that. So they don't have to go hunting for it. It'll take them right to whatever the assignment is.
That's cool. What platforms are you guys using for that?
Frankly, ChatGPT is really the one. Yeah, I
Love it,
haven't
man.
dabbled, and I don't think my team has dabbled too much. Now we use other things like HeyGen or Opus and stuff like that for
Yeah,
video splicing and content, which
yeah,
definitely falls in the AI realm. But
for
I'd say
sure.
largely it's mainly ChatGPT. What's cool is some of our clients and some of my other coaches are using it for data sets like recruiting. We just talked about this earlier today. Taking MLS data from a production list of agents, feeding the machine with this year's information compared to last year's, and it'll spit out, hey, this person's business is up 17%, blah, 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 which gives
Yeah,
you talking points to reach out to either recruit or even retain your own
yeah.
agents with that.
Yeah, the analytics is next level. I'll tell you, a 5 I haven't got to play around with a ton on the analytics. 4 wasn't that great. I actually enjoyed O3 Mini, which has been sunsetted. But I'll tell you another one you guys could check out is Claude. It's Anthropic's model, so CLAUDE.ai. Claude. So funny story. I'm reading this book right now that's about OpenAI, and so this reporter's kind of like a tell-all book. Just came out not too long ago, and a big chunk of OpenAI's staff left and started Anthropic, and that's where Claude came from. And for me, the book Hunter Head Game, half of my chapters in this book were edited by ChatGPT, and the other half were edited by Claude. And so I did that one, so I'd have like a talking point around all things AI because I know it's not going anywhere. But the ability for it to take my stories, I'm just a hillbilly from Kentucky that's dyslexic and a college dropout, right? And so like its ability to write is just absolutely next level. And so like I'll share with you real quick, man. This the very first part of the book is called the prologue, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure. So like I'll show you guys the image here on this other camera. It's probably zoomed in a little closer, but it's like a pen drawing, and so it's got this real like old vibe to it, right? Like old world vibe, which is what I wanted the book to be about. But I told it, I said, hey, on these intros to these chapters, I want them to seem like they're almost like biblical, right? Like written like old scripture. So check this out, man. This is the prologue to the Hunter's Utopia. And so it was, there were those who wandered, seeking, yet never finding. They were fed, yet always hungry. They toiled, yet never conquered. Their hands grasped, but their hearts were empty, for they knew not the way of the hunter. But among them rose a different kind, one whose eyes saw beyond the horizon, whose hunger was not for survival alone, but for dominion. This one did not wait for the harvest. He pursued the kill. He did not ask for permission. He carved his own path through the wilderness of mediocrity. To the lost, this book is a riddle. To the weak, it is a burden. To the meek, it is a storm, but to the hunter, it is a map, a weapon, and a prophecy. If you stand at the threshold of greatness, uncertain of your place, let this be the fire that awakens you. If you've tasted success, yet still crave more, let this be the blade that sharpens your edge. For the hunter is not born, but forged. This is the domain for those who refuse comfort of the herd, who take ownership of their fate. It is the kingdom of those who know fear is a shadow, that patience is a virtue, but urgency is a weapon. And so it was that I, too, was hunted. There was a time when I built only to watch it burn, a time when I rose only to be struck down. But a hunter does not stay grounded. He does not mourn the loss. He sharpens his blade, he learns, and he waits until the moment comes to take back what is his. What lies ahead is not comfort, not ease, but power. Power that belongs to those who claim it. And so I ask you, wanderer at the edge of this fire, are you here to be fed or are you here to hunt? And I mean, like, dude, I could not have wrote that poetic message. Right? I mean, and that's what I wanted to happen, man. I wanted this thing to be, you know, a war cry for the entrepreneurs and the builders out there. You know, the subtitle of this is "The Old World Rewarded Obedience. The New World Demands Killer Instincts." And I think it's so true that I think we've lost some of our killer instincts in this world because, one, you know, we're seeing the net of 8th place participation trophies in our society. But the other piece of this is that people have just gotten fucking soft, man. You know, their meals are at a push of a button. They're everything that you need is on your phone. And so they're endlessly just dummy scrolling through these fucking apps. And it's like when they need something, they just push a button. And I think what has happened is that the lion doesn't come in the village and drag the fucking kids away anymore. And so we just think that like we don't live in a universe where it is the jungle, man. And so I think the people that harness the power of being an apex predator in their space, right? Like the jaguar and the gorilla don't compete with the lion, right? Like you got to own your dominion. However, being the apex predator in that place, I think is something that gets rewarded in business. And that's not a law of business. That's the law of the fucking jungle. And for us to think that for some reason, because we have all this technology and clothes are easy and affordable and housing, we have a roof over our head, like, nah, man. Like my old football coach used to say, he's like, Carroll, keep your head on a swivel. And it's like, you have to, man, because somebody is always peeking around the corner, ready to catch you sleeping so they can come knock the stool out from underneath your feet. So sorry, I get a little passionate about this stuff, man. But, you know, I'd be curious what your thoughts are, because I do think we just kind of live in a world right now where we've gotten soft. And that old Chinese proverb of like, you know, good times make weak men make terrible times. Like I butchered that a little bit, but what's your thoughts on that, Jake?
I completely agree. In fact, I quoted whoever said it the other day on my Facebook page of, in business, only the paranoid survive. And some people are going to take that out of context, but you and I both know what that means. Only the paranoid survive.
Yeah.
And I'll link this back to something we spoke about earlier, man. You're kind of hitting on that primal fight or flight mechanism that's innate in all of us. And I use this same parable to make several different points, but just for a minute, all your listeners, all your viewers right now, let's imagine that we're all in Coach Carroll's little cave right there. I'm sure my invitation's in the mail. It's okay. But no, let's imagine we're in this cave. It's 3,000 years ago. We're right there, all huddled up, and in the center is this campfire. And we're just doing our thing, writing on the walls and doing all that. But all of a sudden, we hear something rustling around in the bushes outside the cave entrance, and we're like, shh, shh, shh. Did you just hear that? DJ, what did you hear that? What is that, man? And for a minute, in that fleeting moment, that is that fight or flight thing. That is fear, okay? Speaking to you. Ladies and gentlemen who can hear my voice right now, fear is nothing to be ashamed of. Fear is actually a good thing. Fear is a protection mechanism. Stop trying to be all macho and pretend it's not there. It doesn't exist, or. You just need to know how to channel it properly, because I'm thinking in the cave, what the hell is that thing? Is it going to come try and eat us, or are we going to eat it? And that speaks to the killer instinct you're talking about. And I know my choice. I'm going to eat that freaking thing, even if it's just a squirrel or a big old grizzly bear. I'm going after it because I'm not going to sit here. That's it, buddy. That's it, man. But I just need, I know we need people to realize, personify fear. Say, hi, fear. I knew you were coming. It was just a matter of time. I didn't know when, but listen, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to call 10 people and see if they need my services. It's going to be okay. I got this. But I tell you what, thank you so much for caring about me. Thank you so much for protecting me, but I'll take it from here. See you next time. Yeah. Just talk to it. Acknowledge it for what it is, but it's not a bad thing. It's not the boogeyman. if channeled properly, that fear, that fight or flight moment can actually serve you in an incredible way.
Yeah, and I think if you can rewire your brain a little bit to know that that should be the leading indicator that you're making big moves. If you're not scared, if you're not thinking, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if that happens? Like if there's no downsides, either you're just too dumb and you haven't found them yet, or it's not a big enough opportunity, right? Like we're looking at an M&A deal right now, and like my whole leadership team's like, oh, I don't know, dude. What if this thing fucking goes sideways? We're going to be on the hook for X, Y, and Z. Like, and I'm like, yeah, but if it works, holy shit, moonshot, right? And so for me, I'm just realizing like the later I get, I'm only 37. So, I say the later in my career, but like I started when I was 18, man. So it's like, I meet some guys where I'm like, I've been an entrepreneur twice as long as they've been in the game. And so it's like, I've seen things, I've lost everything twice. And so it's like, for me, the bank showing up doesn't scare me anymore. The competition doesn't scare me anymore. And I'm like, all right, I got to go find bigger boogeyman to go wrestle with. And that means bigger opportunities, because really, if you zoom out, I heard this on, the kid's name, James, the kid that does School of Hard Knocks. So I met him down in Miami, got a selfie with him. It's on my Instagram. You guys go follow me, DJ_Carroll, if you're not following me there. But he had a video the other day where he said the biggest thing that he had learned from billionaires, he asked a guy, he said, hey, if you lost everything and you needed to make $1 billion in 1 year, what would you do? And the billionaire said, I don't think like that. I think in decades, not 1 year sprints. And so like, for me, it's like, if you think in decades, very, very seldom do you find somebody in their 20s that's like going to have a massive opportunity. Okay. Like those are your years to cut your teeth, take your L's, learn your lessons. Like that's where I lost things twice. Your 30s, you get a big swing. Your 40s, you get a big swing. 50s, maybe 60s, you can do one more. But by the time, maybe you get one in your 70s. But like that's 5 big decade-long swings. That ain't a lot, man. That's not a lot. And like, to me, that's become very, very clear. And I think having kiddos opened my eyes to that a little bit as well. But, I would just encourage you guys to go out there and chase the fear, because if you're not worried, if you're not scared, if you don't feel the butterflies in your belly, I would tell you that you're not dreaming big enough. You're not swinging the bat hard enough at a big enough goal. And that's why I always say, hustle, it's worth it. That's my mantra, man. Like if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna put in the time, make sure the payday on the backside is worth it. And make sure you're in a vehicle that can get you to that goal.
Well, we just on Wednesday, was that yesterday? Actually, we just did this exercise with a group of agents. It's called the 5-year exercise. Long story short, I always open that up with 2 things we often hear. Number one, we often underestimate what we can do in 5 years, but we overestimate what we can do in 1. And that's essentially what I just heard you say. And number 2 is wherever you are right now, whatever it is you're going through right now, just understand you're no more than 5 years away from being wherever you want to be in this world. I'll take it to the decade. I agree with that. I think similarly, DJ, but even just 5 years. Okay, think back 5 years ago, literally on August 20th, 2020, at the time of us talking here. Dude, what were we? We're in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
5 years ago. And it seems like yesterday for some. But when I say, what are you going to be doing on August 20th, 2030? You might say, oh, time is on my side. I got all the time in the world. I can't even fathom. That seems so distant. Time has this elusiveness to it. But you and I both know the greats, back to the consistency comment, understand time is going to pass anyways. I cannot manage it. I agree with you. I can maximize it. I can utilize it. I believe in priority management above all else.
Right.
But why not do something every day, just 1% better, 1% better, because the time's going to pass anyway.
Yeah, man. I love that. Cool, man. We're about out of time here. I want to do some rapid fire questions for you. This has been great, man. Love having you on the podcast, and I know the people are enjoying it. Guys, let me know in the comments. You could drop a like or a comment, share this thing out, but let me know your biggest takeaways as always, and let me know if you would like for us to have Jake back in a future episode. Jake, what's your favorite book you're reading here recently, man?
Oh my gosh, always listening or reading to something. I'm an Audible guy.
Same. I'm dyslexic. Like, yeah, of course.
next answer for next time. Wink, wink.
There we go.
But, man, I'll answer it this way. My all-time favorite book, if I'm allowed to go this route, is The Traveler's Gift. And the passage that you read seems so similar to the way in writing of Andy Andrews of The Traveler's Gift. I just love it. If y'all haven't checked it out, do yourself a favor, get it on Audible. Listen to it if you can. It's so freaking good. But of course, reading it is second best.
Nice. Very cool, man. And we may have already covered this because that one's going to be hard to beat, but your best coaching win with one of your clients.
You know what? I'll give a more recent example. It's not my best. I mean, what is the best? But I'll just give you a recent win, if nothing else. A broker owner that I coach right now out of Amarillo, Texas. And if you're a broker owner or a leader of a team right now, you need to hear this. He's got a modest 30 agents, but he just celebrated his best of the best month ever in the history.
Wow.
In a time when a lot of broker owners and people are not doing great.
Right.
And he cleared, I won't give the exact number, but
Oh, come on. We didn't say his name. Put some numbers out there.
That's fair. We didn't say his name. Okay, so he cleared $74,000 owner profit. Owner profit. And some of you out there, if you are a broker owner thinking, I need to recruit hundreds of agents, I work with them too, and I know their books. They've got hundreds and they're in the red. How is it that a dude with 30 agents cleared $74K in 1 month profit? That just dispels the myth that a lot of people are out there discounting themselves, playing the commission game. It's a race to the bottom versus knowing what their unique value proposition is and standing tall behind that.
Let's go, man. Hell yeah. My good friend Tommy Mello from A1 Garage Doors, he in the Home Service Expert podcast, which I was on, you guys definitely check that out on YouTube. That was a great podcast I did with him. He says revenue is for vanity, profit is for sanity. And I'm like, that's one of my favorite lines I've ever had him say. And then let's talk about a locker room moment, man. Give me like one of your best locker room moments where you just like, for me, I think of a locker room moment as like the halftime speech, right? So like if somebody needs Jake to give them a locker room moment right now, what would you think that would be?
Actually, it's funny you say this because every year I do halftime, and it's this whole thing that I do midway point in the year. Here's what I would tell folks right now. It's the words of my college baseball coach, actually, Hall of Fame coach Dusty Rhodes.
Ooh,
For the years that I was there, I didn't miss a beat. Before every game, before us guys ran onto the field, we put our hands in the huddle. You can imagine it right now. And he would say to us, boys, 3 things. Boys, have fun, stick together, and play like a champion. Some of you need to hear that shit right now. Are you having fun? Your problems, the things you're challenged, you might just need to find the fun factor again in what you're doing. Find your purpose. Have fun. Number 2, stick together. Have you drifted away? Are you in isolation? You said it earlier, leadership and entrepreneurship can be very lonely, but it doesn't have to be. I promise you, guys like he and I are in your corner. We want to help. And then thirdly, play like a champion. Ooh, what is the DNA of a champion? We could go another hour on that. But I didn't realize it at the time, dude, that he was instilling that not for baseball, but for life. Have fun, stick together, and play like a champion. That's what I would tell anybody listening to this right now. Go get what's yours. You, your future self, deserve it. It's just a matter of your willingness to stay committed and make some decisions and accept the boredom that's associated oftentimes with success.
Love it, man. Love it. Great way to end this. Jake Dixon, the locker room, in the sales factory. Thanks for coming on, man. If people want to connect with you, how can they find you online?
Yeah, man, I'm over all the channels. Facebook is largely where I'm active. I guess that makes me old, but Instagram is at Coach Jake Dixon. I'm all over that, man. TLRnation.com is our website. Jake-Dixon.com. I too wrote a book. It's called Cannonball, the 12 Success Principles that Children Can Teach You About Life and Business. So just let me be a resource. I'm not here to sell and nickel and dime anybody, but I do want to be a resource and a connector above all else.
Yeah, we'll pick that up. Cool, man. Well, guys, as we close out, thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Sales Factory. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share the podcast. And if you haven't left us a review on iTunes, please do so if you're on an iOS device. It helps us get the show in front of more people as we're going on our 10th year doing this podcast. And so helping lots of entrepreneurs out there. Until next time, as always, here's to your success and hustle. It's worth it.